watch. But moving on down the line, we're in round 3 now, Rissa. We have Flow Dragons versus Nala Fanclub. And Flow Dragons is seeded number 3 in this competition. Everybody except Noctis, which, by the way, Noctis being an N on the side of Flow Dragons, is the captain of Black Lotus. So finding a lot of friends along the way to help out and play on the team of Flow Dragons. The other 3 teammates on Flow Dragons, this is their first time in the top 12 of SendouQ. So welcome to the competition for season 10. And then you have Nala Fanclub on the opposite side, which I believe this is a continuation of the saga of Jared plays with mid-level and may or may not be having a good time. So it is Jared of the of Voilakti and back in the day Jackpot playing with the Nala Fanclub folks, which I believe Ryu and Bake have actually been on the winner side of things before. Bake's played with a team called Candon in the past, which is a very high-level EU team that we don't see as much anymore. And then we have Aura Boy, who we also talked about quite a bit last night too.
Aura Boy, 36. Can't forget the 36, right? Yeah, I'm so let me look at this. So Flow Dragons, the 3rd seed, and Nala Fanclub, the 7th seed, excuse me. So getting closer and closer with these seedings, and that's when it gets really interesting, because the closer the seedings get, the more intense the games can be. So I don't know what we're in for here, Sapph.
Well, I one thing I think about is that Ryu on the side of Nala Fanclub is from the pickup team Usagi Fanclub, and Usagi Fanclub is a frequent flyer in Crow Battle, which Crow Battle, if you didn't know, is a weekly zones only tournament that has been happening for quite some time now. And Usagi Fanclub is the team with the most wins of Crow Battle. So you have somebody that is no stranger to Splat Zones only and how the flow of a tournament like that works. Not only that, they play it weekly. And so you have a lot of experience on one side, but you also have somebody like Flow Dragons and someone like Noctis leading the charge for Flow Dragons, who also has a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, has played in many different settings. So you have various titans of industry, if you will, coming to a head here with Flow Dragons and Nala Fanclub, opening it up on Inkbot Art Academy for the first stage that we're looking at. And actually similar story from before, Crab Lake Capital is going to be the second one, very similar to the first round that we were playing in. But so far, so good. Going into round 3, Rissa, I'm having a fantastic time this morning getting to talk some Splatoon with you.
I am too. We are, going into the top 12 of SendouQ Season 10 with 12 amazing teams. This is going to continue on here as we head into this next match, Flow Dragons versus Nala Fanclub here, getting a start. And actually, looking at the comps, I'm like, is this a mirror comp? Hello? It's super close. Very similar weapons played on each team. Each team has a pencil. Each team has a mini, of course, of different variants. And then each team has a blaster as well. The only difference is that we see that Forge Pro on one side and then that Splash-O-Matic on the other side.
Yeah, and Forge Pro has been a very dominant weapon to be picking in this current meta. With how the different updates have come out, Forge Pro has been really strong lately, so a good choice coming out from Flow Dragons. With the Forge Pro, it has that it has the Booyah Bomb. Yeah, Booyah Bomb and Section Bomb as its loadout there. So and Azu's going to make really great use of that. That's 2 members on Nala Fanclub going down there, and they're going to be maintaining more ground on the left-hand side, opening it up for their teammate to run up the ramp there. Not finding too much success, though. Unfortunately, going down, and Nala and Jared are able to drop into the center stage, and there's no chance anybody can get comfortable on the top center of that stage there. But I would think that Nala Fanclub would have been able to do a little bit more to turn it around, but Flow Dragons is going to be taking the lead.
Yeah, you could see that Jared and I didn't quite see who else that was who tried to drop in the middle and just take that middle stack in the zone immediately. The members of Flow Dragons had eyes on the back of their head. They saw that, they all backed up and poked at the same exact spot there where they knew the members of Nala Fanclub were trying to get that mid tower, and immediately called that out. So now Nala Fanclub here just scrambling to try and get their specials ready, try and get in a position to get the zone, but it is not looking great for them. Flow Dragons just continuing to hold the zone, pushing forward a little bit past that as well, and utilizing their specials and weapons to poke at that drop area and really not let Nala Fanclub think about getting their specials, think about grouping up together at all, really just not giving them room to breathe in this first match.
Yeah, and I liked the ceremonial hammer throw as the tape flew across the screen. It was kind of a very good ending there for throwing out the hammer as the game ended. So Flow Dragons in dominant fashion taking us into game number 2 here. I'm not really sure, Rissa, what the keys for success are for Nala Fanclub to try to turn things around. I mean, you have somebody like Jared who has been playing at top level for so long, trying to guide different folks of Nala Fanclub out of the mid-level headspace and think more, okay, if you were a top-level player such as myself, these are things that I would want to look out for and think about as I'm trying to play against my opponent here. But to me, it seemed like Flow Dragons had a very impenetrable defense. As soon as zone was taken, I mean, you saw at one moment there was somebody from Nala Fanclub that jumped onto the top tower, and before both toes were able to touch the landing point, they were immediately taken out. So already thinking 2 steps ahead of Nala Fanclub, Flow Dragons are. And so you have to try to think, okay, how do we outsmart the dragon? How do you fight and combat the dragon? How do you outsmart the dragon?
Right. That's, if I was Nala Fanclub, I'd be like, okay, what do we do? It almost seemed like half of the team was wanting to play aggressively, and then half of the team was wanting to wait and get specials. So if they can meet in that happy middle area, whether it's all kind of waiting to get specials, waiting, or just all playing aggressively and letting their specials come as they are pushing aggressively, I think if they can do either of those, as long as they're just playing together, they can make a little bit more happen. But heading into the second game, we'll see if they're going to be able to do that, because like you said, Flow Dragons was ahead of it. They knew what to do. They were 10 steps ahead of what Nala Fanclub was doing.
And maybe the difference will be that there is less surface area covering the lower level, because on Crab Leg Capital, it's Great City. You can shoot through the floor in various different places on this stage, and that might maybe change the narrative that we're looking for here. But already, Nala Fanclub is going to be taking the zone first. There's a good bubble placement out on the center stage by Ryu there, opening defensively, extending the reach for folks to try to get out and take fights places. But the Booyah Bomb is going to cause quite a bit of displacement, and very quickly Flow Dragons is going to take the zone back into the favor here. Jared trying to get set up on the crab tank, finding no value for it at all. Barely able to get set up before Flow Dragons can collapse in and take them down there. And once again, we're seeing a very similar story to where Jared is trying to lead the charge and get people into position, but Flow Dragons is already so quick on the draw to prevent that.
How interesting. I've seen Jared's aggressive crab work so many times in the past, commentating. Oh, okay, good 2 picks onto Flow Dragons there from Nala Fanclub. But yeah, I've seen Jared's aggressive crab work so many times in previous tournaments, and just seeing him try and use it there, try and crab aggressively, and Flow Dragons completely shutting that down, I think was really interesting. So again, we're seeing Jared there on the right side of the map using that crab. Far enough back, but still pretty up close, and wasn't quite called out there, as now it's Flow Dragon's turn to be in their spawn, trying to regroup and figure out how to get back into the spawn. I mean, the zone.
Well, I think both things are true. Both things are true. Nala Fanclub finally finding the lead here against Flow Dragons, and actually having a really solid foothold too. Ryu is really good on this left-hand side here, allowing a lot of jump space to come in from Nala Fanclub. And I like that the Snipe Rider player is opting to take the high ground. The cooler is now going to be coming out They immediately took down the first player that stepped foot into the lower area. And now you can see Nala Fanclub is finding a lot of comfortability here. Rissa, single digits left to go. They just have to hold on very strong here. The Wavebreaker's not going to find any value as much as they were hoping for. So Nala Fanclub is going to tie us 1-1 here. Maybe we spoke too soon. Perhaps we spoke too soon on what Nala Fanclub is looking for out of this.
Right. That was a complete switch. Now it was Nala Fanclub headed into the second game that did a very dominant fashion there, won that very dominantly. So I'm really just trying to think back and think of what they did differently. And maybe it was that they kind of played more together, made sure that they were using specials together, and they didn't rush things like I think they were in that first game. So just being able to coordinate things and group up a little bit more, take on 2v1s, 3v1s, 3v2s, things like that really were in their favor in that second game.
Yeah, it seems to me that Nala Fanclub needs to take a page out of the playbook of EasyMD, and especially with that bubble gameplay. I mean, already I saw Ryu at least once utilize that bubble not as a defensive tool, but also as a territory tool to be like, this left-hand corner is for us. And if you need to extend your reach a little bit further, you can do so, but also retreat back if it looks a little too dangerous. And it seemed like that was a very big opening play in my mind, which allowed the resources of Nala Fanclub to really expand themselves much further and gain a lot more value, because it was after that play that we didn't really see Flow Dragons get a lot of reach a lot of headway onto the zoning area. So Brightwater Springs coming up next here in a 1-1 fashion, looking for the next win. We are guaranteed a game 4. How exciting. Maybe, perhaps we'll go to Wahoo World for game 5. I hope you have your season pass, Rissa, much like California Adventure and Disneyland. We could go hang out at Wahoo World, but for now, let's go and head into the bathhouse of Brightwater Springs. There's no comp changes on either side here. And I'm wondering, already with Nala Fanclub reaching the zone first, there was nobody even in the center. It caused Flow Dragons to have to leave their ramp area to go to the center to take the zone back.
Yeah, it was almost like they were like, wait, they're not grabbing the zone. I guess we'll just go get the zone. And Flow Dragons turned and went towards the zone, and now they do have control of it, but Nala Fanclub is regrouping on their ramp on their side of the map. Finally, I like that they're having multiple members drop down on the right side there, but you can see that Flow Dragons recognizes that, throws that Booyah Bomb right to where all those members are dropping to. And even though Flow Dragons is in control of the zone right now, it's kind of a bit of a scramble still as each team is getting their footing on this map.
Yeah, and I think with the cooler coming out for Nala Fanclub, this could be really helpful in trying to turn some things around. Jared is missing from the action, but still having a special online. That's 3 specials ready to go for Nala Fanclub to try to open it up, and the try splashdown is going to be the first to do just that. The zone is taking out of possession. There's just enough ink on both sides to try to keep it in limbo for as long as possible. Nala Fanclub is going to find success, though, in that firefight. The Booyah Bomb is going to once again put it into a neutral position. It's a very small zone, so you really got to try to throw as much as you can onto it to maintain your status, but Flow Dragons is going to be the victor in that exchange. And having a very significant lead here over Nala Fanclub. Nala Fanclub is being completely pigeonholed into their spawn.
They are, and I noticed too that Ryu was on the right side there alone. Okay, pushing forward, getting a complete wipe in Nala Fanclub spawn. Hello, I didn't even get to talk about what I was thinking about, but yeah, a lot of top teams are, I noticed if someone drops on the right side of the map to come around from the other team to get the zone, they focus on the spawn. It's really interesting. They make sure that they keep an eye on those drops, but they know that the spawn area is the really important area of this map to make sure you're watching, because then that almost distracts the other team from being able to come in and get the zone at all. They have to get these members from the other team out of their spawn. And right there, towards the end, that's exactly what Flow Dragons did. They all took Nala Fanclub spawn, and that has allowed them to end up KOing this third match and winning the third match over Nala Fanclub.
And I feel like that's where Brightwater Springs is such a unique stage, because the spawning area is so small and like mostly you just see what's right in front of you, but then there really is an exit point to get down into the stage, like right next to where you're spawning in from. So it's an immediate decision of like, do I go for objective or do I try to fight what's directly in front of me?
Right.
But if the team that's directly in front of you, if your opponent's directly in front of you and they're not really letting you have any sort of leeway to jump into the left-hand side, it's like, you really are forced into one decision. And so now the fan club, you could see Jared was even trying to do the flank on the spawning area around the right hand elbow. He was trying to see if he could get the flank and find a successful flank there, but Flow Dragons just had eyes 360, looking everywhere and everywhere all at once. So I think I'm wondering, with this moving on into our fourth round here, on Umami Ruins now having a double zone stage to try to keep track of, I'm hoping to see a little bit more stretch of resources from Flow Dragons and Nala Fan Club, because now Flow Dragons, instead of managing what's coming out of the spawn, they have to manage the zones and what's coming out of the spawn. So you're adding a little bit more to the plate here with Umami Ruins.
Okay, so taking a look at these comps, everything looks the same except Jared switching over to the dualies. So that is going to be the one major switch up that I'm seeing, switching from the splash over to the dualies. Still going to be having Crab though as that special, and I feel like that's recently become a special that Jared is like, it's like required for Jared to be playing very good with that Crab. So as this match starts here, immediate trade on top with the minis, and both teams trying to figure out how they want to get control of the zone.
I think, well, Jared switching over to the dualies too, one thing that comes to mind is mobility. There's a lot more mobility in using the roll mechanic with the dualies, and it seems like Jared is somebody that needs to have a lot more mobility in order to find success in the fights that he's taking. And already the lead now being switched over to Nala Fan Club's favor. Jared is looking to try to bait some folks down into that pit area, but I'm unsure if success was found with that. But the zones are now being taken once again, overflowing by Flow Dragons. 3 members over on the left-hand side there. You can see Ryu immediately getting called out. That's Azu on the left side, now looking to go around towards the spawning point of Nala Fan Club in order to help out take another member of Nala Fan Club. And there is no entrance point in sight for the folks of Nala Fan Club to try to do something here, because Flow Dragons keep jumping in, and that's Noctis coming in with the triple splashdown. And it seemed to me that the pencil is unable to also find safety. The wipeout has now occurred. Nala Fan Club is really gonna have to like rearrange the plans here. It's back to the drawing board, Rissa.
It really is. Like you said, Flow Dragons, they just keep jumping in. There was a second there where they had 2 members down, but they still were controlling the entire map with the jump-ins that they get. Even the 2 members that were coming from spawn were jumping into those 2 remaining members, and they are not giving up space. So if you are Nala Fan Club, you really have to figure out how to approach that. You really have to make sure you have eyes on all members of Flow Dragons and know that they are gonna just constantly be having members jumping in and constantly having that aggression.
Yeah, and you could see too that Nala was looking to try to help out with the fight with Ryu, and the mini just can only reach so far, so you really need to get a blaster in there to try to get some of that poking damage. 3 members though going down on Nala Fan Club, unfortunately. Flow Dragons having no penalty in sight. They're looking to try to close out this match as quick as it started. And you can see that Nala Fan Club they keep on trying to use all of the different tools in the toolbox, but Flow Dragons has a bigger toolkit at their disposal, taking the match into a 3-1 scenario as we move into round 4.
Wow. They just, like, the way that Flow Dragons just constantly almost utilized that map is so big, and the 2 zones, and it had so many areas where if you wanted to jump in from spawn to your teammate, there's like so many areas if you're the other team that you have to be watching. So they really utilize that almost distraction tactic of being able to do that, and great job on them. They were really on fire that round, I think.
Yeah, it seems like the recovery efforts from Flow Dragons were executed much better than what Nala Fan Club was trying to do. It kind of seemed like Nala Fan Club had one really solid plan in the works, and then as soon as that plan was obliterated or toppled, there wasn't really much recovery effort that we could see coming out from Nala Fan Club. But Flow Dragons, to me, it was like, okay, well, this doesn't work, so now we're moving on to plan F. Plans A through E didn't work, so now we're on plan F, and now Flow Dragons, we're gonna find success with plan F. So I guess moving forward for the folks of Nala Fan Club, don't feel discouraged, don't sweat it. There's still plenty of tournament left to try to change what's happening, and maybe we'll get them next time. Just take all the notes you can, and we'll get them next time. We'll reformat the gameplay as we move forward. But